just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. Take me home. I just wanna show you the true light. The true light. Make me feel alright. Make me, 'cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright. Take me home tonight. I just wanna show you the true light. Light me up and make me feel alright. 'Cause baby, we are always shining bright.
So the whole thing was just right up into the arm. Just are we live?
Like the whole
Oh.
arm, or are we talking elbow?
Oh, God.
I mean, this is important.
So I think there's an audience now. So hi. Well,
You gotta
Get
go
back to
shoulder all the way.
That's why it's
Perfect.
good to have small hands.
This is why it's good to have Charlie here to do our intros when we can, because this is what happens when we don't. Hello, everyone.
Welcome to For What It's Worth live stream.
Which
I am
means-
Rue.
I'm Nuka.
Hi, Nuka.
I guess.
Is this? When have we ever done this? This isn't what we do.
I don't know.
This is we're off to a swimming start here.
Are we starting with like are we doing like an AA meeting? Hi, my name's Rue. I've eaten cookies for X amount of years.
I appreciate that you're trying to work on your problem.
I don't have a problem.
Well, you have a problem, but we don't talk about it here.
Oh.
You're working on it.
No, not at least for the first minute of YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. But Rue, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I have been, of course, playing more VR chat. I host now they've drug me in to where I'm hosting a VR furry game night now. So every Monday at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I'm doing a furry game night, and we just go on and go to all the furry game night worlds. And
I show up to it too.
yeah, you do. You have been there a couple times, and there's been times that I'm like, oh no, we have so many people here. Like, people are messaging me. They're like, Rue, I can't get into the instance. And I'm like, oh no. So we've had to like split the groups and stuff like that. And I was going to name the group Furries at Play, but people didn't like the acronym. I loved the acronym, and I thought it was great. I thought it was pretty fun, but people were like, maybe we shouldn't do that. And so instead they want to change it to Beans at Play. So that's BAP.
BAP.
Yeah.
You could try to go for Boop, but I don't know how you make it into a Beans.
Boop?
Yeah, Beans
Pause at Play.
online. Pause. That's PAP. I don't know if that's any better.
Oh, that is PAP. No, that's not good.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Beans
Or-
online only playing. Boop. Nailed it.
Well, so I've been doing that, and then of course I've been really struggling at work trying to keep up on things, but I got everything done. It's the end of the month. I'm super excited. Now I can just kind of relax and chill and not be a stressed out fox. So that's basically what I've been up to. Oh, and then playing tons of 7 days with
Oh, such
this
a great
lot.
game. A great game.
It is a great game. You should come play with us, Nuka.
You're making me want to replay it again. I played so much of it, but man, I kind of really want to replay it now. Although,
Have you,
when I
Actually,
do my
a lot.
recap,
have you done it?
It's
when
a
I do my
lot-
recap, I'll explain why I can.
Well, and it's a lot different now that 1.0's out. Like, obviously it's the same game, but it is significantly different.
Oh, it's been like 5 years since I played it, so I'm
Wow,
sure
you
it's
played
completely
it with a
different.
really big group.
Yes.
That's what we're doing. It is chaos, except for right now. Our horde base situation has been the night of, 2 hours before. Find a place.
My favorite thing to do in that game was to just dig holes. Just dig holes and do the mining for everyone else, because I love digging holes.
Hey, look, another dwarf.
Me too. That's all I do.
So, Click, what have you been up to, Mr. Dwarf?
We got a new fridge.
Yay!
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 Well, considering our other one was from the 70s, it's quite an upgrade.
It's got an ice maker.
Ooh, and I use it every day.
Wait, don't most fridges have ice? Oh no, it's freezers. Sorry. Yeah.
New ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Game wise, I'm kind of just in limbo. Next week's gonna be hectic because Space Marine 2 comes out, and then Satisfactory 1.0 comes out.
Yeah, that's the one that's gonna kill me. Goodbye, free time.
Yeah, so
Hello,
next
Satisfactory.
week after next is gonna be exactly bye free time.
You know, it kind of makes me think of like whenever we do our recaps, if people want to hear things like how our 401ks are going or how our taxes are going or
What's a
Like,
401k?
I don't know, like things in life and stuff like that.
What
But
our
instead
social
we're like,
security number is.
I
our
thought it was
credit card
40K.
number.
instead we all talk about video games.
What else is there? There's work and games and
And games and work. You know what? I have one more thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to steal more time. I'm updating some of my fursuit. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm getting
some of your fursuit,
Yeah, I'm
specifically
updating.
strategically placed areas.
I mean, I would love that, but no. I'm getting new feet paws, hand paws, and a tail. There you go. Oh, and I'm getting bedroom paws. That's what apparently they call them.
Bedroom indoor paws.
No, these are bedroom paws. Indoor paws are like you could actually wear them indoors, and walk around with them. These, if I wore them around indoors, they wouldn't last very long. They're just soft, plushy, pillowy paws that basically you use to take pictures with, and then that's pretty much it.
They're all about them beans.
And the
Beans.
beans. Get cute beans. Anywho.
Do bedroom paws go with bedroom eyes? Yes, that's a very good question.
Yes.
Are you kidding, bedroom eyes?
I do have bedroom eyes. I do have those.
You have eyebrows.
Yeah, well, I have those extra eyelid things that you can put
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah.
Or not eyebrows, eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up, Nuka?
What's up, Luca? I've been crazy busy this past month because for anyone who's been to school before, it's back to school time in September. So my new classes start next week, and I've been frantically scrambling to get my course websites built and ready to go. And I've got them done. So now I'm just recording some lectures so I can be ahead of the game.
All right.
Other than that, what were you saying? Sorry.
So, have you decided who's going in the locker?
All of them. All of them.
All of them?
Everyone goes.
Oh,
Actually, no. To go in the locker, they have to show up, and unfortunately, since I have my lectures online or in person, everyone opts to do it in person. So everyone opts to go online. So 4 students show up. So out of my class of 110 students at any given time, maybe 5 show up. So there's no one to stuff in a locker.
Oh.
bunch of slackers.
Other than that, as was mentioned, I'm eagerly awaiting Satisfactory 1.0, and I've been sort of just playing old games as I wait for that to drop. In my spare time outside of that, I analyzed the data from Anthrocon, which will probably make it into an upcoming episode. So,
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I've been poking at Nuka here and there in the telegrams. I'm like, hey, do you have some information? You know,
feel
wanna
like
share?
a dealer. I'm like, yeah, I got some data for you.
And he's so concrete.
Well,
He's
you
like,
did it
"Lou,
exactly like a dealer. You give us a free sample, and now we just want more.
Exactly. You got to ration that shit out. Oh, and
I
then
know.
also I have my birthday coming up next weekend. So,
Happy birthday! Woo!
thank you.
All right, everybody sing.
No.
Happy birthday to
Absolutely not.
you.
Happy birthday. Da-ba-ba-da-ba-da. I don't know this song.
Obviously, it goes happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too.
Yay!
You know, the song that I remember is
I like the
I
Pop
think
It song. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
there was this place called, I think it was JB's, but their song was "We Just Came to Sing to You," and then the other crew says, "We just came to sing to you. Happy birthday from the crew. Happy birthday from the crew. The good news is we sing for free. The good news is we sing for free. The bad news is we sing off key." Down, doll, break it on down. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
So what you're saying is we need to
complicated.
develop our own, for what it's worth, happy birthday song.
We absolutely do not.
Oh, what would that be? Cookies,
make an
cookies,
episode of it.
cookies. Happy birthday.
Who hasn't gone there? Oh, Voss.
Me? Who?
Yes.
What? Stuff?
What's new with you?
Recap.
Recap, damn it.
Fine, if you insist. So pushy. Can get right into that locker.
Do it.
So far, anything new? Work? Not much. Engine for the plane is almost done, which I'm excited for. I'm getting ready for that.
I heard you got a new fridge.
It's been like a year.
It's been 2.
2
Yeah, it's been-
years?
Yeah.
2 years.
Why does it take so long?
Because of
question.
COVID and supply line went and got shot. So it's only getting done now, and then that'll be done soon, hopefully, and then I can start flying again, which will be great. I'm looking forward to that. What else? For video games, I went and did dumb stuff, and I went and bought myself a Switch. Yay! And then I've just been playing Animal Crossing and being relaxed and chill. Yay! I'm boring.
You're not boring because you've also
Yay,
been.
I'm boring. Oh, I'm waiting for my airplane to be fixed.
Yeah, no big deal. The airplane that everyone has, you know. So, Rue, you got a cookie for us?
Oh my goodness, yes I do. I always have cookies. Except when there are none, and then I'm sad.
Okay.
I should really clean up those crumbs sometime.
No.
Let's see.
It's
All right,
impossible.
so the fortune says, fortune smiles upon you at this time. In bed with a cookie. I really need to get better fortunes.
Yeah,
Say that
that's
was
kinda-
really generic.
That was.
It's so generic that I'm gonna go get another one. That was stupid.
Yeah, that was
Here's a fortune. You have fortune.
Yeah.
What? What?
a winner is you. Oh, this is the problem. I bought the bag of crappy fortunes.
All right, opening up the new one because that one was shitty.
Yep.
I get 2 cookies. Here we go. Oh, follow the advice of your heart.
What?
In bed
That
with
one
a
at least makes
cookie.
more sense with the
I know, yeah.
context.
So we have fortune smiles upon you at this time. Follow the advice from your heart. In bed with a cookie. There you go.
Yeah, we need
Profound.
new fortunes.
And guess what? Those are the last of the fortunes. So that's kind of the reason why I'm like, I'm going to use them all. So I'll have to order some more.
Wow.
So, normally we'd cut to break here, but I guess since this is a live episode, we could jump straight into the topic today.
Let's do it.
Yay,
So,
no bars. Dive in.
So the topic, as we announced to everyone a few days ago, or if you're listening to this after the fact, as you saw on the title, is we're talking about dances and raves at furry conventions. So I can't remember if we covered this topic in a previous season, but if not, it's been a long time since we've done a deep dive on it, and I think it's worth diving into. So this is sort of near and dear to my heart because I've been going to furry conventions for like 15 years now, more years than I'd care to admit. But one of my favorite things to do at any convention is go to the dances, go to the raves. I always try to take in at least one while I'm there. So it's been a fairly universal thing that I've been doing at almost every convention I've gone to. So I was stoked to get a chance to talk about it. And I guess maybe just before we start, for those who've never been to a furry convention before, yes, at virtually every furry convention you go to, there is a dance, and it's pretty much what you think a furry dance or a furry rave would be. It's picture what you know about a rave, and then do it at a furry convention. So you got your classics. There's music with a pumping, high energy, rhythm of some sort, so you can dance to. There's different themes, right? So everything from 50,000 different types of house or techno or trance music, but you also will occasionally have like a top 40 or an R&B or a drum and bass or oldies or classics, or depending on the convention, they might have a themed a dance. But you can usually, if you go to a furry convention, somewhere for at least one of the evenings, and usually most of the evenings, there'll be some kind of a dance, and there'll be lights and depending on how big the show is, but there'll be lights and lasers and stuff like that. Maybe a fog machine if they're feeling ambitious. Some of them have big old screens with visualizations on them. And a whole bunch of people just sort of dancing in the middle of this big hall with a DJ up front typically. So that's the sort of thing we're talking about today. So what about you guys? Have you guys when you guys go to conventions, do you typically go to the raves or the dances?
I
Every
do
time.
go. However, most of the time it depends on the type of music that's being played. Like I am very particular about some of my music, but I'm not an audiophile or whatever that that can only listen to certain music. There's just certain music that I can dance to, and then there's certain music that makes me want to I don't like necessarily, and I don't feel like that I can dance to it. So I really like when there's like either like Didgeridoo, Electro Swing. He's really good. I love some of the 80s music or 90s music that the dances that they have. I usually go to some of those ones. Usually whenever I go, I always make up stupid dance moves with my friends. I usually do like the shopping cart dance.
Classic.
Where
The sprinkler.
Yeah, the sprinkler. You know, you're pushing a shopping cart and then you get in the groceries and put it in the grocery. Yeah, stuff like that.
I didn't
It's
know
fun.
this was Australia at the Olympics.
Oh god.
Oh, I don't do that type of dancing.
Well,
Lots of
that's the
cup of
nice
joe.
thing about like a FurCon dance or rave, right? Is you don't have to know how to dance. It's a dark room full of fursuiters and people out of suit, and you can just flail because nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's-
agree. That's the benefit of
You
having
don't-
a suit.
Right. Well, with or without, it doesn't matter if you're in suit or not. You can just flail around and nobody cares because it's a furry rave. If you can dance, great. But if you can't, nobody will notice.
I remember telling my colleague Sharon once when she was going to her first furry convention. I was talking about the rave. She sort of pulled me aside and she said, "Oh, like this is interesting because I see people at the rave here that I wouldn't expect to see." And I just sort of said, "Look, it's sort of like think back to like high school, like your high school dance or whatever, right? And there was always the kids who kind of sat by the wall in the back and didn't feel comfortable going out. This is an entire dance full of those people." So they feel a lot less self-conscious because they're sort of around their people. So here we have a dance, mostly of the people who felt kind of awkward or weird sitting by the sideline, but now they get to go out in the middle of the floor and act like weirdos and dance goofily because they don't. It's hard to feel self-conscious when everyone around you is kind of dorky.
Well, the school
Yeah, but-
one was always because you had that implication that you had to go find a date and dance with them, and you had to do couples things.
Right.
And none of
Right,
that
the whole-
exists.
The whole formal dance thing is, whatever. But you know, raves are different. You're just out there. You know, you're out there to have a good time. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. You know, it's like everybody's there for the same purpose. So you just kind of do your thing and have a good time.
So
But
go ahead.
oh no, I just noticed in your lovely notes. I'm sorry, I'm jumping to this right now, but
That's okay.
one thing that I've done recently is I have a friend. His name is Dance Bunny. He's really
Does he like to
he's
dance?
really energetic. Yes, he loves to dance, and one of the things, like especially when I got full body tracking in VR, I wanted to go to a dance because I thought, oh, that'd be so much fun. It'd be really enjoyable. I went there to go out there and dance, and it was at a rave, and there was a DJ up there doing music or playing music, and all of a sudden, like, it was just me and him in the middle of the dance floor. And there was a couple of people that joined in, but everybody was just on the sides, just kind of doing their little, like, they were screaming out, "Tink, tink, everybody hydrate," drinking. That's kind of the norm when it comes to VR. But I looked around and I'm like, wow, we are like the only ones that are pretty much dancing.
Here to dance, yeah.
And I felt like I was back in high school all over again.
But you were the cool kid in the middle of the floor dancing.
Exactly. It was different.
That's really funny though. Like, I know this is kind of a tangent, but Rue started it. But
okay.
like that's interesting that furry dances in person, people are less likely to be shy or reserved or sit on the sidelines. But in VR, where you have even that extra step of separation, right? It's VR. It's completely not you in person, and people are shy again. That's weird to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, of course, when I went to Furality was a little bit different. I mean, there was definitely people that were sitting on the sidelines, but there were a lot of people that were there dancing. But yeah, it's just interesting. And then there are some times that you can like people will display what music that they're playing, and it's annoying because it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're here for a dance to
I'm
dance,
listening to something else.
but you're listening to something else instead of listening to what the DJ is providing. It's hilarious. So anywho,
Yeah.
Well, you guys have kind of mentioned a few things, and I guess again for those who've never been to a furry dance in particular before, a couple of other things besides just what you would expect to see at a typical dance. You know, obviously music and a DJ. The sort of rave part of it. There's a lot visually going on at these things. So in addition to like fursuiters running around, you'll often see glow sticks and light shows, whether it's spotlights and lasers and strobe lights. Usually, if you have fursuiters or people who have vests with lights that do funky things, you'll usually see some of that going on. You'll often see sort of. I've made observations of this before going to dances because I'm a nerd, so of course I would go to a dance to take notes. But it's things like you know, you'll see sort of in front center of the stage. You'll usually see people, a cluster of people dancing up in front, you know, where the DJ is and stuff. But then off to the sides, usually around the outer edge of the throng of people, you'll see people spinning poi or doing hula hoop, or they'll be you know, doing juggling with glowing balls or something like that. But there's all, you know, they're doing like little gimmicky kind of things, like, oh, I know how to juggle, so I'll go juggle at the rave, but with glowing balls. Oh, I know how to do poi, so I'll go do poi at the rave. So you have to see that. But also, for the people who don't feel like dancing, and this used to be me for the longest time, oftentimes there'll still be like chairs set up, so you can go there and just listen to the music. And I really do sometimes, especially as I get older. Sometimes I just want to go listen to really good music, and I can appreciate that they, you know, often have chairs near the back where you can just kind of sit down and take in the music.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of another funny point for the furry dance thing, because the chairs, like, there's usually chairs. You're right, and it's like the complete opposite back to the high school thing, right, where the chairs were always completely full and the dance floor is empty, whereas in a furry rave, it's the exact opposite. The dance floor, the center is usually packed, and there's a few people on the chairs that you could tell are either there just for the music or they're just resting.
Mm.
I think, like, it's voluntary, right? You don't have to be there. School dances were so different. So I guess that's kind of the other point, is if you don't want to be at a furry dance, you can just walk out.
Yeah. Well, I know that the furry dances are usually, like, proportionately, they're pretty well attended at most conventions. I mean, not as attended as like the opening ceremonies or whatever, but I mean, the fact that at virtually every convention you'll find dances, and usually, you know, when I would go out to these dances, if you go there at the right time of the night, I mean, a significant portion of the con is at the dance. So it's a really central part of furry conventions. I would be really surprised to ever go to a furry convention and not see a rave there.
Right. And it's funny because, you know, yeah, I agree that every time I've never been to a dance, like Sammy said, there isn't at least a decent group of people there.
Yeah.
However, I have seen some DJs that have an uncanny ability to clear the floor.
yep.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on, because I definitely want to get into some of the good and the bad, like what makes a good one and what makes a bad one. But I guess just before we get to that, do you guys have any sort of experiences of your own with dances? So do you usually go to dances, or are dances not really your thing, or?
So I'll go to the dance usually to follow the drunk coyote around. So Click always
Who
goes
could
to the
that be?
dances. Was that?
I said, who could that be?
Yeah, you. But I'll go in and follow. And it's fun. You know, I do enjoy it. I don't say that that's my scene all the time, but I know that my significant other loves it. He has poi, And
Ah, yes.
so he's been able to kind of learn to dance with poi. For those that don't know what poi is, but poi is basically like a glowy ball that's on the end of a string, and basically
twirl
you're
it.
twirling it around, and it has flashing lights at the end of it, and so usually it's the people that will end up hitting you accident. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But yeah, it's fun, and actually, Dance Bunny has been teaching him a little bit on how to do that stuff.
To
So.
do the poi.
Mhm.
So one thing I just thought of with the dances, it's funny because I listen to a lot of electro swing, electronica, EDM, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, all day long. That's what I listen to.
Mhm.
So it's like even if you don't listen to it, the experience of being at the dance is a whole different ball game, right? Like it's like sports. I don't watch sports. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch football. But I've been to a football game and I've been to a NBA basketball game.
Yeah.
And even with zero interest, it's a whole different experience, and it is a lot of fun being there live, right? The experience with
The energy.
thousands of other people, right? The energy. So the dances is kind of the same thing, right? Even if you're not into that kind of music, being at that experience and sharing the energy with so many other people is exhilarating.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite things to do at a convention for a reason. Yeah, the energy, a lot of people just engaged in pure act of fun. You're there just for the goofiness and the fun of it. We started. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things that I am super intrigued with is the visualizations. Like I love it when they really get into making sure that they're set. It's not just music, but it's also a like for instance, they have strobe lights, or they have lights, or they have images on the background of furries doing the doing dancing. Like I've seen somebody bring in a furry VR avatar that they had somebody backstage that was doing a little dance, and they had them up on the screen. Or for the virtual conventions like Furality, I've seen them basically have this like great big gigantic bird that was its wings were the curtains for the DJs.
Oh.
So between sets, the wings would close around the DJ or the stage, and then open back up. And you were dancing on top of a volcano, while the last one you were dancing on top of an air turbine. I don't know how that works. Don't ask me how that works, but during the music, or during the dance, they would turn the air turbines on, and all the avatars would kind of slowly fly and glide in the air to the music. Like, so they added like all these extra elements that you wouldn't have been able to have done in real life. But I've seen some, gone to furry dances where they've used some pretty amazing visual effects as well. And I think that is it needed? Do you have to have it? No, but it's freaking awesome.
It makes a
and
difference.
I love it when they do that.
So Sammy brought up a good point in the Patreon chat. Like I've also heard that the European, not necessarily Eurofurence specifically, but the European cons have amazing dances.
Yeah,
and
yes,
I've never been to
Eurofurence
one.
specifically. Having been to both Eurofurence and Nordic FuzzCon, I can confirm Eurofurence is off the hook. It is a smaller convention than say like an Anthrocon or an MFF. But they take their raves and their dance culture seriously. The lighting setup and the sound setup is just unbelievable there. Amazing sound setup, and like I said, the light shows, the lasers, the just incredible for a convention of that size. So absolutely can confirm that depending on where you go, there are differences, right? So you might think, well, a rave is a rave is a rave. But yeah, if you go over to the European conventions, they, in many ways, that maybe they shift more of their resources over to making sure that their dances are off the hook. But they absolutely do that. You'll notice even if you go to smaller conventions, you'll typically find raves, and oftentimes there won't be as elaborate of a light setup, and the speaker system might not be as good. The space itself might be smaller, or feel more like a Legion Hall than a convention hall. But yeah, you'll always find a dance somewhere. Yeah. I want to go back to the visualization for a second, because I would say that the visualizations aren't necessary, and they didn't used to be a thing. I say back in the day, you wouldn't really see the visualizations. Like, it was less common to see the big screens. But I'm so glad they have them now, because one of my favorite parts about it is the DJs can show personality. It's almost like the dance that you go to, that 1 hour dance before the next set, has like a theme to it or a personality to it, right? Maybe the DJs are real goofballs. So you'll just see like these really wild, off the wall, goofy old retro time cartoons or something bouncing around the screen. Or if like the DJ's going for, this is really awesome, right? Maybe the visualizations are going to be really cool or kind of trippy and spacey. Or but I like it because it gives personality to what you're listening to. Like, it's like a show that you're going to.
Right. Well, that makes it more interesting. And like Drew said, it's obviously not needed. Smaller cons do do a fine job, but it definitely adds another layer to everything.
So, one thing that I wanted to throw in is like the first time that I went to a furry con, and it also happened to be the first day that I bought a furry tail, and I was like, first of all, once I had that on my body, like, I went to sleep with that thing. Like, I was like, this is my tail. I have a tail now. What's going on? I am complete. But going out there on the dance floor and feeling it go back and forth and bat for the very first time, I was like, yeah, this is so cool. This is awesome. And then I'm dancing with fursuiters and stuff. It's definitely yeah, I have to say that, because how do I explain this? I know that because there was furry dances that were going on, that helped me to kind of want to have a fursuit myself. Because then afterward, I got to kind of, the fursuiters that I was dancing with, they invited me to go into this headless lounge type thing. I was like, oh, we talked about that on another episode, but
yeah.
But needless to say, like, going to those dances, like, it kind of pulled me in a little bit more of wanting my own fursuit myself, because I'm like, yeah, I want to get all fluffy and dance around. Let me tell you though, another layer, it is so hot. You think that it's hot in fursuit? It gets very quickly hot at a furry dance, because not only is the atmosphere outside really, really hot, but let me tell you, moving around really quick and doing your cardio exercise with a rug on,
yeah,
you start dripping really, really quick. So
I ran into a weird situation where the dance was so good, I couldn't leave. Every time I tried to walk out the door, another great song would come on, and
One more song.
It was all retro stuff. It was all 70s and 80s dance music, but remixed, and it was fantastic. Every time I was like, okay, I'm exhausted, I have to go to the lounge. And I would walk out the door, and the next one would come on. Oh, well, I can't skip this one, so I'd walk back in. It was terrible. I was so exhausted.
Terrible,
but it was a lot of fun. Right. And then I've also had the ones where you walk in, and it's just like, I can't. I like the music. I could listen to this in the car, but I can't. I can't dance to this.
Well, that's a perfect segue, I think, into now that we sort of introduced the basics of like dances and what's there and what the appeal is. Let's talk about sort of the main idea behind this, which is the do's and don'ts, right? So from your own experience, what makes a furry dance good? What makes a furry rave sort of bad? And let's start with the don'ts, right?
Ooh,
I've got a giant list here, but I'm so open to hearing your guys' own suggestions. So go for it.
Do not spend a majority of the evening next to the speakers.
Well, you can do that, but you're not going to hear anything the next day.
Yeah, there was one dance that the only place that I could find a place to kind of be was right at the speakers, and
Oh dear.
I regretted that.
And when I say do's and don'ts, by the way, I don't just mean like, oh, like what you as an attendee does, but like what makes a furry dance good or what makes a furry dance bad, right? So are there certain kinds of music or certain things that DJ does or certain things other attendees do?
Here's the
Just
hard
in
thing.
general.
When it comes to music, what I think is good music isn't necessarily what everybody else thinks is good music. You know, I'll play music in my car and they're like, what is that? What are you listening to? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's this thing that I found, this weird thing. And some people, they just don't get it, and that's okay. But that's, I'm sure, the same when it comes to being a DJ and putting music on, is that not everybody is going to like your stuff. But the main thing is, I guess, stay true to yourself of what you're interested in, what you want to do. I would say, though, for the people that are setting up the dances, like the con itself, I think that what's important is making sure that you provide, you change up the different types of music. I think that Furality did an amazing job with that. If you ever want to go to the most amazing dances, go to Furality's dancing. They have such a variety of music. I was listening to music that I've never heard of before. I think I'm if somebody's out there, they can help save me from this, but I think it was like a Latin swing, some sort of dance. I don't know. I have never heard of it before, but it was very interesting. It was different. And it was something that I could dance to. So if somebody's out in the chat, like, yeah, definitely type that in. And any sort of dance music that you guys think is great dance music, type it in the chat and we'll read that out. But anywho,
Well,
I think sorry, go ahead.
that's kind of a good point, right? It's like I said, I listen to that stuff all day long. I listen to dubstep. I listen to pretty much anything that's EDM, stuff like that. But it's great to listen to, but some of it you just can't dance to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of DJs need to realize that. It's like, yes, it's great music and it's wonderful to listen to, but you have to pick stuff that people can actually dance to.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the top end of people in dance comp. You need to do general public.
Yeah, I mentioned in my notes, I said songs that either don't have a rhythm, like you got to have some kind of a rhythm to dance to, and if you're either you have music that doesn't have a rhythm, or one of my pet peeves is the DJ has ADHD and they can't commit to a rhythm for more than like 20 seconds.
oh my goodness.
They're just shifting between songs so fast. Like, I can't even. I'm just starting to figure out what the rhythm is for this, and to get into like the groove of dancing, and you've just changed it up 20 seconds later. Pick something and stick with it for a minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Or keep it interesting, right? Don't. I went to one and it was years and years ago. I don't even remember what con it was at. But it was basically just, I don't know what it was specifically or what you would call it, but it was basically just canned beats, right? It was a dead beat, just constant. There was no variety.
it came
wasn't
with the
really
electric
music.
keyboard special.
Right.
The
And it was
default.
like, dude, you played this for like 20 minutes. Yes, you can dance to it, but it's boring.
proof that there's skill in being a DJ beyond just like pushing the rhythm button.
All right.
Speaking of also songs that you shouldn't dance to or that don't work as to dance to, I remember this was in the past year. My friend Ocean and I go to raves at conventions, and I swear to God, this happened. We're listening, and they're playing some classics. I'm like, okay, and then out of nowhere, they drop "Smoke on the Water," like an electric remix of "Smoke on the Water," and I'm like, what the hell are we listening to, and why is it at a furry rave? You don't.
Well, again, right? Good song, great to listen to, but
Yeah.
not really something.
How do you dance to "Smoke on the Water"? Yeah, like for "Smoke on the Water," you get stoned and just kind of wave back and forth to it. You don't, you don't dance to it.
Right.
I will say I've heard a lot of it's been sort of contentious at a lot of conventions where there's been a push to mix it up a bit, and Rue kind of spoke to this already. But yeah, this idea that there's so much focus on your electronica kind of types of music that people are saying, well, why don't we mix it up, right? And at a good convention, we'll put up a lineup. So if you've never been before. It's not just one DJ for the whole night. What they'll do is an hour-long set, and then they'll switch off for another DJ. So maybe there's a 6-hour block of dancing that night, and every hour will be a different DJ. And usually they won't just post the DJ's name, but usually they'll also post the genre or the type of music.
Right.
But again, nothing's more frustrating than you go and you look, and it's 6 hours of variations on techno or variations on
sweet dubstep, followed by glitch step, followed by hard step. Love
yeah,
it.
and it's like these are all kind of the same thing, right? Just like so for people who, what about some R&B or some drum and bass? What about some, top 40? Just get a good mixture in there, because like Rue said, not everyone has the same tastes. So trying to make sure you cater a little bit to everyone's taste, over the course of the night. You don't have to like every single hour of it, but at least as long as there's an hour of something you like in there, that's good.
It was one of the reasons why I stopped going to dances, was just because they all played the same music at the same beat with the same stuff, and I was like, I'm bored. I'm gone. Bye. And I just slowly stopped going to dances.
Yeah. I
For a while, it's coming back. They're definitely getting more variety. The people who decide or choose the DJs are I think more aware of that kind of thing, because for a few years there it was like every dance had the same exact stuff every time, and it was pretty lame.
Well, I do remember. I had a couple of conversations. Do you guys know our? He used to be local. You guys remember DJ? DJ used to run DJs at FC, and I think it was FC that he was the DJ chair. But basically, some of the things that he was saying that was a struggle is you don't have a lot of sign ups sometimes for DJs, and so you're pretty much kind of stuck with whoever ends up signing up, and that can be a little bit difficult, but I do think that if you're I guess here's my point that I'm trying to get to. Ferality, I'm sorry, I keep bringing back to Ferality and their dancing. They had so many different music artists, but that's because they have the whole entire world that they could potentially pull music from. But these local conventions, they only have the people that are showing up to that said convention. And so therefore the variety might not be as big.
Yeah.
Because basically you're only getting what, who is actually going to show up to that convention itself.
Right.
So
it's definitely a challenge. And I get the challenge, and I couldn't pick DJs. I'm just not that musically inclined. But, I understand that, and it is an attendee thing, right? Some cons struggled with attendees, so they kind of had to take what they could get.
Yeah. Smaller cons in particular have that. Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
that I do agree, though, that if they could promote a little bit to where it's like, okay, we want, instead of like, we're looking for DJs. No, instead, if they would promote, we are looking for DJs that specialize in this type of music, or that have this particular set. And if you have slots for that type of sets, hey, you could have a DJ come on stage multiple different times, but fulfill that type of genre.
Yeah. Well, I
So-
think BLFC's been doing that recently, where they've been looking for different. They've actually asked for certain genres or styles.
That's cool. I haven't seen that before. That's cool that they're doing
I think
that.
it was them. I don't remember. I just remember seeing the post looking for it.
And
But
then
it's nice to know.
And then beyond just like genres are not liking the choice of the genre of music of the DJ. There's other things that I've seen DJs do before that kind of get on my nerves. So I think a good DJ sort of I like when DJs banter or chat a bit with like, so like, you know, the guy with a microphone, they're like, how y'all doing? Make some noise. I like that, you know, getting the crowd pumped up and stuff. Doing that too much, or like, yeah, I talk you all the time. I'm like, there's a limit about this. There's a sweet spot for how much to do that, and DJs who don't know that can be really annoying.
Well, when
I
you're
don't know if you've
trying-
had that happen.
when you're trying to dance to something and then they keep interrupting it to talk, so you get about 5 seconds of dance to 15
Right.
minutes of talk.
Well, they're trying to
Right.
talk over their booming, thumping bass, so it's just noise you're hearing. Like it's like okay.
Okay, dude. So that reminded me of not necessarily a furry dance thing, but just the whole EDM techno thing. So we were listening to one of the EDM channels on satellite radio in Voss's car one night, driving home, and there was an interview with some popular DJ. Right? They do interviews with them, and then they would play like a set. And this guy was such a dick. He was like, I don't do this and I don't do this and that counting shit, you know, where the DJ will count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they'll drop.
I like that.
He's like, I don't do that. That's so lame. Blah blah blah. And then they played his set. Literally
That sucks.
20 seconds into his first song, he did the exact thing.
He did the thing.
Yeah, it was funny.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Roop.
I was just gonna say the one thing that I don't necessarily love is when. So, I'm going to bring us back into VR again. In VR, sometimes there are DJs that are so drunk that
They can't DJ.
I've
they're-
never seen that in person, but I can imagine.
There was one set that I listened to, and yeah, all they had to do was hit play, but they were just they were interrupting their own music throughout the whole time, and all they were doing is slurring, "Tink tink, everybody, tink tink. Oh, let's have another shot, tink tink," and it's like, oh my goodness, like,
Slow down.
let's dance, and maybe afterward I'll take you to an AA meeting. Let's help you with lowering
What's-
the amount of alcohol that you're drinking. Which I have no problem with drinking
Right.
alcohol at dances and stuff like that. It's just
Well,
okay,
if you're so hammered you can't function,
Yeah,
you're kind of running the
entertainment
show.
for the room. Yeah.
it'd be like me overeating cookies here and just continuing to munch in the microphone and express on how good this cookie is. I mean, yeah, some people here would be like, "Oh yeah, ASMR rude." Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I want. That's what I'm here. But it's definitely not for everybody. So
Right. Well, and then I don't know if there's any more bad stuff, but there's definitely some really really good furry DJs out there.
Oh yeah, there's good things that a DJ. If you want to talk about, if I get one more complaint about a thing that DJs do before we go to the good stuff DJs do, my one last complaint is DJs who like, they're like trying to be a comedian or trying to be like memey. Like it's one thing to like, oh, in the middle of your set, you drop a meme song. That can be very funny, right? Oh, okay, haha. It's you put the
Right.
funny, you put some Rick Astley in there. That's funny, right? But when like the entire set is just like meme songs, I'm like, okay, like, I came here for
Yeah.
a dance, not for a comedy routine.
Sorry,
Right.
I had to interrupt. Lygris just put Rue's patented munch step.
Munch
TM.
step.
I think I need to do that. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
But yeah, let's talk. If you want, we can on the subject of DJs, we can talk about good things that DJs do as well.
Right. Yeah, then there are some that are fantastic. Obviously, there's really popular ones, but like I said, the one that I went to that I absolutely destroyed myself at because it was a really good set. He had a good mix, but he was playing retro stuff, and my whole thing with that is if you take music from the 70s and the 80s that was made to dance to and then remix
Disco.
it with electronic, like, it doesn't get any better than that. But that's personal preference, I guess. But he did a wonderful job DJing, and worked the crowd when he needed to. It's like you have to read the room and basically go with the energy, and he did a fantastic job. I think it was Tech Fox. I think.
I think a good DJ will keep things dynamic. I made a note here: dynamic but not chaotic. Because again, like you don't want to stagnate. You don't want the 20-minute same loop or whatever.
Right,
of
right.
music. But you also don't want it to be utter chaos where you're mixing. Every 20 seconds you're onto something else.
Right.
So keep it dynamic but not chaotic.
Another really good DJ that I like, and unfortunately I don't know his name. I don't know their furry name either.
DJ that guy.
Right, but he DJs. They DJ at FC, and they're blind,
Oh.
and it's amazing. He's a really good DJ. I don't know what his name is.
All right, chat. That's a mission for you. Go find it.
Yeah.
I was also gonna say that what was it? I was gonna make one more point about okay. This sounds so trite and silly and obvious, but one of my pet peeves, I guess you could flip it on its head and say one of the things I like when a DJ does, show up at the right time for your set. Almost there's always the joke about, oh, furry time is always late and stuff. But I know as an audience member or as a person who wants to go to a dance, it's always frustrating when the damn dance starts. You show up, you're ready to go. You've left a room party, or you finished eating early so you can make sure you get to the dance and stuff, and then it's 30 minutes late to start.
Right.
And not only is that frustrating for the people who are there to dance, but I got to imagine if you're the second DJ, you're kind of frustrated because it's like, is this going to eat into my time? Am I still going to get to do my full set?
Right. Well, that's what I was
yeah.
gonna say. Is it not showing up on time, or is it the guy in front of you took 45 minutes longer than he should have?
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess if you're the first one, there's definitely some pressure. It's like, dude, the whole night's balanced on whether you start on time or not.
I mean, I'm not a DJ myself, but I got to imagine too. I'm always impressed when there's a nice, clean transition between DJs, right? So if you've done it perfectly, then there will be a switch from one DJ to another, and you won't even, I mean, the music will change at some point, but it's not like a hard,
Right, you almost don't
record
notice.
scratch, music goes silent, and then 10 seconds later, But yeah, you almost won't.
Hey guys, this is me. Right. Well, and I've seen. I don't know. I'm not a DJ. I've been to a lot of dances, and I've kind of tried to figure it out. But I swear, some of these DJs actually collaborate, and they're like, "Okay, we'll mix my last song into your first song," because some of them transition so seamlessly. It's amazing.
Where does one stop and the other begin?
Right.
Yeah.
There was one transition that I saw at Furry that was interesting. One of the DJs, they were ending their set, and you know how I told you that they had this gigantic raven or bird that was on stage covering the DJs.
Yeah.
In one of the sets, they actually animated the bird eating the DJ off of the stage. So that was an interesting transition. I have to say that I've never seen that before.
Horrorcore.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. It was good. Anywho.
I guess beyond DJs, we can also talk about like attendees. So you're on the floor surrounded by other attendees, and everyone's there to have a good time. But there's definitely been things that I've sort of I wouldn't never say that another attendee has like ruined a dance for me, but I've definitely seen things where I get kind of irked or annoyed when I see on the dance floor. One, I guess it always sort of annoys me is people not sort of respecting the space or some of the unspoken rules of the space. For example, I mentioned that near the stage, that's usually where the people are dancing, right? There's usually the highest density of people near the stage, up near the front and stuff. And if you're going to be in that space, right, where everyone's sort of dancing the hardest and stuff, be dancing, right? If you're just kind of standing there, like this isn't it's a dance floor. It's supposed to be dancing here. And if you're, you can stand, but don't stand like in the middle of a throng of people who are dancing because you're just kind of in the way. And on the flip side of that, that's also really annoying if you're like by the chairs. You're down by the chairs and you're just kind of wanting to listen, and like you got one person dancing like crazy over there, and it's like okay, like you're 2 feet from me and you're dancing and flailing, and there's an entire dance floor out there, but you've chosen to do this like in and around the chairs.
Yeah. Well, and it's, on the other side of that is I haven't seen it a lot. I've seen a couple of furries try it, but don't try and turn it into a mosh pit. It's not a mosh pit. People are there
I've
to have
never
a good
seen
time.
that, but that's awful. Oh no.
Usually it
God.
doesn't last long. It doesn't ever get far. I've seen it a couple of times, but after the first person or two, they're like, dude, knock it the fuck off.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you feel about so this I've seen at dances before, and I always think it's really cool when it happens spontaneously, but I don't know how other people think. So you know that thing that happens sometimes where like a circle will form, and then like one person will run into the center of the circle, do some awesome dance move, and then jump out of the circle, and then the next person will jump in. I always think it's so cool when that happens. Maybe it's just me.
I don't mind it. It usually doesn't last too long. It's it's a nice change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually not that intrusive, right? It just kind of forms, and if you still want to do your own thing over on the side, there's usually plenty of room.
Mm-hmm.
But it is entertaining. I don't mind it for sure.
Eli makes a good point here in the chat. Don't be. I actually had this one in my notes too. Don't be that guy who gets so drunk they heave all over the dance floor. That, and in a similar vein, I was gonna say, don't do so many drugs that you are now like a you are now an issue that people have to deal with. Like I'm
Right.
not so naive as to say, I know people will do drugs and go to the rave. Some people. Not most people, but some people will, and that's fine as long as you're not being a nuisance. As long as like you're not making other people uncomfortable with something that you're doing on the dance floor. Like if you're so drunk you're puking, or if you're like visibly freaking out and like maybe don't do that.
Well, that's not necessarily a dance thing, right? That's just life advice.
Yeah,
There is nothing more annoying than somebody who gets drunk or high and you have to babysit. I absolutely cannot stand drunk people that I have to babysit.
you are now an ordeal for the rest of the dance.
I mean, everybody knows me, and like Rue said, usually going to the dances, he's following the drunk coyote. I'm usually hammered at a con, but I don't need to be babysat. I don't let myself get to that level because
you're not
it's
throwing
so
up,
annoying.
yeah.
Right. So that kind of falls into the dance thing. Like you said, don't get so drunk or so high that you become a liability for somebody else. It's just, keep control of your facilities. Jeez, people.
In that
I
same
would
vein-
have to.
In that same vein, I'm going to bring up something because it
Go for it.
happens to me, and it's the main reason why I don't do dances at all anymore. Is when they do that, get drunk, or whatever their thought is, don't do inappropriate groping and touching. I don't care who you are.
Don't get handsy.
I don't care how handsy you want to get. I don't care how drunk you are, how much it's a party and you want to have fun. Some people don't want that. They just want to dance.
Yeah, respect personal space. Yeah.
And due to that, that's why I don't go to dances anymore, because it's just too much and kept happening, and I'm done.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to have you go dances with us, and then we can basically beat up the people that do that to you. Or I'll be the one that does it to you. So maybe you wouldn't. You
So then
shouldn't come to me.
they're discouraged.
But I mean, in general, yeah.
I'm
being,
sorry that happened to you, though, Voss.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So I mean, we could make another whole episode about this whole subject, but that's kind of the funny thing, because I'm the exact opposite. I don't care. I would actually prefer it, but I like the attention.
Though it should go without saying that consent is everything, right? Don't assume
Yes.
that a person is okay.
Don't just
with
assume
right?
it, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'cause-
Cosplay is not consent. A person's outfit is not consent.
Exactly. I'm Ace. Click is not. Go touch him.
In a similar vein as well, I was going to mention on the subject of like personal space, and this sort of overlaps with this. Realize that the rules for like personal space are different when you're on a dance floor. So if you're a person who needs a lot of personal space, right? If you're going right into the middle of the densest part of the dance floor, people are going to be dancing a little bit closer there. That's just kind of the norm and the expectation there. But you know, occasionally people will bump, right? Like it's you know, when I'm dancing over there and stuff, I'm not offended if like there's a little bit of a bump. But yeah, again, be mindful, right? If you're gonna, one thing that irritates me is like I'm hanging out with my friend and we're both dancing, and there's a finite amount of space in the middle of the floor, and someone just kind of worms their way directly in front of me and just starts like dancing and ignoring that I'm there, and I'm like, hey, bud, like there's, you know, I was here, and you've just kind of gotten up in my space and just sort of taken over.
Well, that's kind of I don't know, not necessarily a furry thing, but there are definitely those furs who think they're the center of attention all the time, and they always need to be.
Ooh, people that they're the main character at all points in time.
Right.
Timmy Grizzly makes a point here. Like the furry con tags, are there no grope tags for raves? I would like to think that the default should be no grope. Like, can we just start with the default? The assumption should always be no grope, and only if the person has a tag that says grope me or something, then fine. But I mean, yeah, as a general rule, no grope should be the default. Assume that you shouldn't need because otherwise, if your no grope tag falls off, that doesn't mean that it's fair game.
Well,
right?
and that's kind of another life advice thing, right? That should be the way it is.
Yeah.
The default should be don't fucking touch me unless I'm wearing something that says so, or unless I tell you to.
Yeah. Changing
because I get it, right? I'm like I said, I'm the opposite way. It doesn't bother me. I like the attention, but that shouldn't be the norm.
On the subject of personal space and respecting it, Rue, we had talked a bit about like poi, and I mentioned as well like hula hooping and juggling. These things usually happen kind of at the periphery, and there's a reason for it. Physics is the reason, right? If you're swinging around poi, and there's too many people around, you're going to clock someone with it. And I think it's cool, and I really like watching people doing these things. I would just ask if you're interested in doing those sorts of performance-y things. You know, give yourself be mindful, know what you're doing, and keep it at a safe distance from other people, right? If you know you're very amateur at poi and that you sometimes lose control of them, or you're still practicing, this might not be the time to go right up close to a whole bunch of people and start swinging them around.
Yeah, I haven't seen it too much. Honestly, every time I've seen, most people that do that kind of stuff are over on the side or over in the corner.
I've been thwacked by a poi once.
haven't
I've definitely
really.
been hit by one, yeah. And I'm like, you know...
Yeah. Well, yeah, then at that point, it's like, no, get the hell away from me. But there again, if somebody's doing poi over in the corner, don't go crowd them and dance next to them.
You can go watch. That's fine. I'm sure
Yeah.
they'd love that. But
And usually it's a big space. Usually there's plenty of space, right? To just don't stand around the very super dense group of people right the smack dab in the middle. Maybe you go off to the periphery a little bit.
Right.
Poi in space.
I think if you're in a fursuit as well, having both fursuited and not fursuited at a rave, I think it's even more important to be mindful of vision and sort of restrictions in a fursuit, right? So vision is always impeded in a fursuit. In a dark room with flashing lights in a fursuit, it's even worse. So I think it's even more important at a furry rave to sort of be mindful of fursuiters who are around and like, hey, like they really can't see you if they're trying to get out of the crowd, or if they're trying to move through somewhere or get to someone, or if they're dancing, right, and they're sort of swinging around and dancing. Don't get right up next to them because you might get clocked because they don't realize you're there.
Yeah. But, kind of a side note, the nice thing about going to a dance-in suit is they muffle sound terrifically, or at least mine do.
Yeah. If you have
So
sensitive ears,
it definitely makes it less intense. But it's fun. I like it. I like dancing in suit. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. But I've also gone to dances out of suit and had a great time.
yeah, I tend to go non-suit just because I find it's easier. It's easier to dance when you're not wearing 40 pounds of fluff, and I can do it for longer. I'm not overheating
Right.
and needing to bail out so quickly.
Yeah.
So what if there's no fursuit lounge next to the dance? Then
Yes.
what do you do?
Then you suffer.
Well, and that's a logistics issue that I think we can talk about. Sort of, I've seen cons do this really well, and cons do this really poorly.
Right.
If you work at a con, or if you're at a con looking to set up a really good dance, there are definitely things you can do to make it more accessible. One is try to locate a fursuit lounge nearby. Try to have water or fans nearby. One of the best dances I ever went to, Nordic FuzzCon, they had giant ass fans in the dance hall, and it made such a difference. It was so much nicer to dance there when you had this fresh breeze going through it.
I've seen a couple of cons now, and I've seen it more and more actually, that cons will actually set aside a corner of backstage and turn that into a headless lounge for the dances. It's not normally a lounge, but they'll cordon off a little corner backstage, and you can go back there, and it's a nice headless lounge in the dance, so you don't have to go find it.
Mhm.
The fans are a cool idea, though.
Oh,
It would be nice to have airflow.
And it was the popular spot. You could tell where it was amazing because you could watch and you could see where visually you could see where the air was being blown because people were crowded right around there, so you could see how wide the width of the fan was.
Right. Where the cone of airflow.
Yeah, the cone of flow.
That's awesome.
One other logistics complaint I have, since I'm an old man shouting at clouds. You sort of mentioned wanting ear protection. I do get a little bit cranky. Maybe not so much when I was younger, but nowadays I definitely get cranky when the sound is too loud. And I'm like, I get that this is a dance and it's a good time and you like the loud music, but there is such a thing as too loud. And I've definitely been to dances where it was like painful to be in the room. I'm like, I can't be in this room without ear protection.
Yeah. I think that's just an old thing, though.
It may well be.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you need to. I mean, there has been times that, and I may start doing this because I'm an old man and want to protect my ears. Is I may start going in with earplugs.
I'm gonna start. I've started doing it this year. Yeah.
And how has that been?
Yeah.
It's good. It's you can control it quite nicely, right? Again, how good the earplugs are, or how deep you sort of stuff them in there. I thought that it would dull the music a lot more. It doesn't. You can still hear the music perfectly fine. Yeah.
It's not a
But
bad idea. A lot of people go into a concert wear earplugs. I mean, it's they make it loud enough so everybody can hear, and it's a good experience for the whole venue. And furry dances do the same thing. I kind of agree. Sometimes they go a little crazy with it, but it is what it is, right? So a little ear pro isn't a bad thing.
I've not seen this, but I've heard at least a couple of conventions do this. They'll have at least one of their dances will be, what do they call it? They call it, not silent dances, but like, there's a name for it. I'm spacing out now. Hopefully someone in chat will say it. But essentially what it is you bring like headphones or earphones and you, dial them into a particular like channel. There's like a channel or a place where you go where you can listen to the DJ set. So you're in the room with the DJ and they're transmitting their set like to a particular channel or something somewhere, which you can key into your headphones. But so everyone's listening to the music, but they're doing so on their own headphones, so you can adjust the volume, you can adjust all of the like a drive-in someone mentioned, right? It's sort of like that, right? Where you can like a silent rave or a silent DJ. But I've heard that these are a thing, and I like the idea. I think it's super super cool.
That's amazing.
The only thing
'Cause-
that would be weird to me, and I want to check it out because being an observer for that would be
Right.
so bizarre. Because
That's what I was gonna say. You walk in.
And everyone's waving around and stuff to a song that you can't hear, and that must be so surreal.
It would be weird. Well, it's like those videos. I don't know who it is. I think there's a couple of YouTubers that do it, but they'll take, clips from movies and stuff and take out all the sound and basically make their own Foley, but it's completely silent, right? The music's gone from the clip, and it's just the sound effects. It's
just the
weird.
sound effects.
Yeah. So that's what I imagine that would be. It's just a silent room with people shuffling around, and it would be interesting.
Basil, is that true? Sorry, Basil says in the chat, they banned outdoor silent discos in Switzerland because they got too loud. Too many people singing along. I can't tell if you're trolling or if that's legitimately a thing, but that would be very funny.
That would be funny.
If
Just
that
a
were a
bunch of
thing.
people singing along to music that you can't hear.
But I guess so. We've been sort of negative for long enough. I think. Are there other things that you really like about? So we talked about DJs and stuff.
What
but-
about
sorry.
other? Speaking of attaching stuff to yourself, what about some glow sticks, rave gear,
Oh yeah,
Illumination.
I love rave gear.
glowing fursuits?
The aesthetic is.
I love seeing the glowing fursuits. People put LEDs in their suits and they just light up with the music.
Yeah. Oh, when they light up
It was
specifically,
really big for a while. And kind of went away.
the sound activated ones are so cool. I love that shit. I used to have a shirt that did that, but seeing an entire suit do it is so cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
very
no,
I
I-
feel like in like Furality, like Rue's seen it. People who have their whole sonas just light up with
Lit
the
up.
music.
Yep.
Yeah.
That,
Well, that
and
goes along
was-
with the whole DJ visualization thing, right? Is if people are involved and adding to it, right? That just adds another dimension to it. Yeah, I agree. I love it.
I'm always
So-
amazed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I was just gonna add in there that, but what Voss was saying is that people actually add something called audio link onto their avatars, so you can actually have like a skin that goes on to your avatar itself, so that when you go into worlds that are playing music, it will light up to the
Oh.
music itself. And so I have audio link on my avatar, but it's fun to be able to go to some of the dance worlds and you just kind of light up like a Christmas tree and to the music. It's fairly easy and simple to set up on an avatar, but yeah, people have it all over. VR chat is having audio link set up to where. And it could be simple things where it's just your markings that are glowing, or maybe somebody wants to put polka dots all over themselves, whatever it is. But I've seen some pretty awesome audio link. I've seen some bats that have like full like displays on their wings, so people can like open up their wings and just display like all sorts of stuff. It's really amazing. If you don't have a chance, if you ever have a chance to check it out, like definitely. I linked a video, but I linked it in the Patreon. I should link it into the
The YouTube chat as well. Yeah.
But when you have a chance, you should jump in and just listen, like watch some of the things that they do at those places. But anyways,
You know, I'm surprised. Speaking of like having your persona light up and stuff, I love protogens. Protogens, I think, are like one of the coolest species. I've been to dances. I don't see many protogens go to dances, and when I do, I'm always surprised that they don't do more like I would. If I was a protogen, I would totally find ways to like mess with the display, like make the display just like a Windows Media Visualizer or something like that, or make the display on the head something totally wacky and rave themed.
Well, that's the cool thing about protogens. Like they're right. It's an empty canvas. You can do so much with them.
Your
I've
face is a
Never seen
volume
it. I'm
mixer.
surprised. Yeah,
Right.
or have it find some way to wirelessly tap into what the DJ like current song playing, and it like brings up on your screen the
Your face is an iPod.
exactly. I also get a mad.
I should definitely get a protogen. I definitely should get a protogen myself and just have a gigantic cookie on the side.
I got to give a mad shout out to every person at every rave, to the person who brings the glow sticks, because somehow no matter what place I go to, what rave I go to, someone is always handing out just a buttload of glow sticks, and someone had to buy all of those and haul them out to the rave. And I don't know who does it at every different dance, but there's always someone passing out glow sticks, so shout out to them.
Yeah.
Glow sticks are expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap, and they'll hand them out like candy. They'll have a box of like 100 of the things, and they'll just hand them out freely to people. I'm like, who's doing this? I love that they are, but wow.
Real MVP there.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Let's see here. So I
Well,
guess so go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was gonna change the subject if you were gonna say something on the subject.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
I was gonna say then, since many of us have gone to dances, do you have any tips and tricks or suggestions for people who are maybe planning on going to a dance for the first time, or going to a furry rave for the first time at a convention sometime soon? Any tips and tricks for how to get the most out of your dance, or hard learned experience of man, if I could go back, what would I do again differently?
I would just say if you go into the dance and it's not music for you, it's okay. Come back a little bit later, and then you'll find a set that maybe you like. Or maybe experience other genres of music. I have certainly learned of new music that I never would think that I would, that I would like or enjoy listening to a bunch of different DJs, because they do some pretty amazing stuff. So I would say give it a shot. Go out there, try it out, and yeah, if you don't like it, then go find something else to do, like go out to the game room or go to the arcade or whatever is being offered at the convention themselves. So
I was going to suggest cooling vests and hydration. Whether you're in fursuit or not, cooling vests are always really a good idea, and it's always a good idea to make sure you hydrate beforehand and sort of during it.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble.
if find your song limit, like pick out, like, okay, I'll go through 5-7 songs, and then I need to force myself to stop to go to the fursuit lounge or go get a drink of water, and then make sure you keep to that so you don't end up corpse on the ground like Click.
I feel attacked. I feel singled out. What is this?
It's not dragging a drunk coyote through the floor and
I've never been dragged out. I've
Well,
almost
they're
been crawling, but I've never had to be dragged out.
that everyone here knows of.
Haller points out a good point as well. When we say hydrate, we mean with water. Drinking alcohol will dehydrate you, so if you overdrink and don't drink enough water, that is a recipe for dehydration. Likewise, there are a lot of party drugs that will also dehydrate you as well, so make sure you
Yeah.
are drinking a lot.
Be careful. My
Don't
biggest
mix.
advice for furry dances is go.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Don't, oh, it's not my thing, or I'm not a dancer, or I can't dance. Just go. Give it a shot. Have a good time. Like I said, nobody cares, right? Everybody's there to have fun. Everybody's there to do the same thing. So blackout drunk still wants to dance. Yes, that's me.
Haller also points out, and I was about to correct them, but then I remembered something. So Haller said, keep an eye on your drink, which is always good advice whenever you're in a place with alcohol. Don't leave your drink unattended. I was about to say, oh, but typically at a dance, you usually you drink before you go to the dance. But I think it was at Nordic FuzzCon, they actually had a bar in the dance hall, in the room where the dance was happening. And that's another big difference between European conventions and North American conventions. They're a little more casual with their drinking there.
BLFC typically has one just outside of it.
And this one was like in the dance hall. Like you could dance and walk over and get a drink in the same room where you're dancing, which I
How do you order a drink in there?
Oh, I know, right?
Hey, I need a screwdriver. What?
Hey, just so you know, that Starbucks cup, that's not Starbucks. Just to let you know.
Yeah, it's
Nuka.
not Starbucks.
Yeah, I've seen some of those things out there.
Yeah.
We have a good friend of ours that I know 100% that that's not a Starbucks drink.
Yeah. I would also suggest, and a couple of people have mentioned this or danced around it a bit. Yes, go to the dances, and if you want to make sure you have a good time, go with friends. If you got some other friends who you can sort of wrangle into going, it can be really intimidating if you're by yourself. Like when I go to some furry conventions and I'm there by myself, it is a little bit intimidating sometimes to go out on the dance floor and feel like you're an idiot by yourself dancing. But if you can get a group of friends to go, it takes a lot of the self-consciousness out of it, and you can. I like to go with my friend Ocean, and again, we go and we just kind of like goof around and make jokes and stuff while we're dancing, and it's a lot more fun, I think, if you can go with people. So, but if you're by yourself, don't let that prevent you from going as well. Remember, a lot of folks here are dorky, nerdy, geeky as well, and they might not go to dances in any other context, and this might be the one place that they go to dance to let loose. So feel free to do so yourself.
Then the trick is to
Definitely.
bap as many poi as you can. Get into a game. Go for it like a cat.
He said the word. He said bap.
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 I didn't know that was the word.
I don't know.
Clearly,
Better
you
than
weren't
the other one.
clearly you weren't paying attention to the first of the show.
Right. but
It could be the
I'm so
it could be the
confused.
FAP, instead of the BAP. It's the BAP.
That's a different kind of con.
Oh, okay.
And Rue derailed the conversation. Yay!
I can pull us back on task. Moving off of like advice for conventions, I guess. Funny stories at dances. If anyone's got any, I was going to kick off with one. Nordic FuzzCon this year had a lot of ups and downs. For those who know my story, there was a lot of tragedy associated with that convention. But there was also a really, really good time before the tragedy happened. One of my favorite moments of that convention was going to the rave at Nordic FuzzCon in Sweden, and we're dancing, and it's great. We're having a good time, and then out of nowhere, Caramel Dancing comes on. And if you don't know, Caramel Dancing is the original. Yeah, the original singers are Swedish, and we're in Sweden. I'm like,
Really?
I'm listening to Caramel Dancing in Sweden, in its native country, and everyone went wild, and they're all dancing to it, doing if you've seen the dance, right? You
I
wiggle
wish
back
I
and
had
forth.
hand
and
trackers.
Yeah. So it's Eli put it in the chat. You'll see it in a second.
Hey, there you go.
You wiggle back and forth, and you do the little thing with your hands to this really cutesy song. And that was one of the more surreal moments. I'm at a furry rave. Caramel Dancing is playing, and I'm in Sweden, where this song comes from. Absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorite moments at a furry dance ever.
Oh.
I should maybe I'll tell another story.
Yeah, go for it.
I have horrible luck with dances. Because my friend Ocean and I go all the time, and he has way more stamina than I do for this. I go for 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, and then I'm done for the night. I'm burned out. And he will go in suit for 5 hours. I don't know how he does it. But one of the jokes we have is that we'll go together, and then I'll leave after an hour and a half or whatever. And the joke is always, it starts to get really good after I leave. Inevitably, will show up and the songs kind of suck, and I'll stick it out. I'll wait. Maybe the next DJ will be better, and then I'm I'm tired. I'm going to go back to the room. And without fail, the last 5 raves I've gone to, as soon as I leave, 20 minutes later, I'm getting a message from my friend Ocean. He's like, "You got to come back. The music suddenly got good as soon as you left." And so at Anthrocon this year, I was getting ready to leave. Okay, I'm gonna go, and I walk out of the dance hall, and I'm like, wait. I'm like, stop, wait 30 seconds. You know what happens? And I walk back into the room, and they start playing Blue Monday, which is one of my favorite songs. I'm like, I knew it.
All right, so now we have our common denominator. We'll just make sure that you are not allowed to enter the. Yeah,
Nuka is not allowed at a dance.
You have to kick me out of the dance for it to get good. Yeah.
Yeah. You're allowed for 5 minutes, then we kick you out, and then we can bring you back.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, my main raves, I just think it's. I don't really have any funny stories necessarily. Just good times,
stories,
with friends.
happy stories. Yeah.
I think the funniest ones is definitely when I have been able to get a whole group of people to do stupid dances, or stupid dance moves. I'll get a whole
you start
circle
some
of
kind
people,
of yeah.
and everybody's doing the sprinkler or the shopping cart thing, or we'd come up with just random dance moves, and it could be anything. It could be like, okay, everybody, let's fill out your taxes, and everybody's like.
Right.
Sitting there doing the moves, or okay, load the dishwasher. Just random dance moves, and that to me is I love it. It's silly, it's funny, and it's enjoyable, and I love doing that and getting people to think of creative dance moves that they normally wouldn't do on the dance floor.
Hey, Rue.
What?
Rue.
Yeah,
Rue.
yeah.
Remember that time that we went to the dance together, and then we all started to change to the same avatar, and then we got the entire lobby to change to that avatar, and we all danced to the same avatar?
Yes, I remember
just make
that.
it look like a weird cult.
It really was, with a giant bird in the background. We were all worshiping and dancing.
Weren't we all Tatums?
Yeah.
We were all
Yeah.
Tatums, and we were all blue Tatums.
And we all did
And
the
we all-
exact same dance.
It was funny because there's files or what is it, emotions that you can do or actions that you can trigger that can potentially affect other avatars that also have that linked as well. And so all of you will be dancing in sync together in that with that dance move. It's pretty funny.
And to get a whole lobby and an official dance to do it.
It was good.
I know Ocean and I will sometimes T-pose so we dancing, and if the DJ will suddenly make some really bizarre what the hell kind of decision, the song is going good and suddenly they'll drop to some just what the hell did you just put on? Well, sometimes T-pose and be error 404, dance not found. Gently communicating to the DJ that something has gone wrong.
This sucks.
I mean, be nice to the DJs, right? I mean, anytime you're doing some kind of performance, it's rough. It's tough to be on stage and to know that you got an entire room is depending on you. So I don't blame DJs. It's just fun.
Well, who wants to do our patron read?
Yeah, I guess we'll transition into patron. I can read it if someone else is absolutely dying to.
I don't know. I think there's something coming on though.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, there. Oh, what is this?
No, I'm leaving. I need water to douse myself with.
Oh, I'm so happy right now. Well, that music means that it's time for me to read some names of some really awesome people. People like Anthallo, Icy Solid, some jerk named Nuka, Nugs, Basel the Dragon, Black Baldrik, Lufis the Raccoon, Barnaby Panda, Tenax Raccoon, MephistophEli or Eli, Plug, Ausi Kat, Chaphogriff, Lygris, Christian, Ichigo Ookami, Mang times 3 or Mang x3, Sage, Lightfang, Tier 52, Victor Mutt, and Anthallo. Yes, Anthallo, we are mentioning you twice because you are apparently signed up twice. So please, if you don't want to be double signed up, you should check that. Just be aware of that. We're gently letting you know.
I mean, we're okay with double the money, double the fun. Double the cookies! Yay!
But
kidding.
consent is important, so we're double checking that you are consenting to give us double money. So,
But hey,
Go.
thank you for our patrons.
We really appreciate it. Yeah.
It has helped a lot. The number one thing that we're saving up for right now is for Nuka to get a new microphone. I know we've been saying that for years, right? We must
I've been
be
using a
getting
cup
you
and a string right now. I thought it was working pretty well, the cup and string.
Yeah, so we're gonna be getting you a new microphone set up soon. So
Microphone and like the little soundboard thingamajigger that I don't, or whatever it's called. I'm bad with it.
And we have been doing more with our patrons recently. Like, for example, tomorrow at 2:00, what are we doing?
We are doing games.
We are punishing our patrons.
Games!
I mean, playing with our patrons.
We're gonna
That would
have...
be that would
I
be
don't think that sounds
tomorrow.
better either way.
That would be tomorrow, as of the day that this is being recorded. If you're watching this in the distant future, it will not be tomorrow. So it'll be on the Sunday that this is being after the day that this is recorded.
When will then be now?
Ow, my head.
We just missed it. When? Just now.
So with that, final thoughts on the subject of dances, raves, good, bad, awesome. Rue, what are your final thoughts on the subject?
Well, if you were like me and you were in social dance club, you enjoyed it, but you'd go to dances and, nobody really would want to dance, go to a furry dance. They're fun. Definitely go out there and shake your little tail and enjoy yourself. Definitely check out, if you're into VR, there's furry dances that are out there. Definitely check those out as well. Check out Furality's dances. They are the bomb. If, I've said Furality's name probably like 20,000 times this episode. I should be sponsored. But yeah, just get out there, shake your little tail around and enjoy yourself.
Click. Final thoughts.
Kind of what I just said though. What I said before. Just go, give it a shot. Don't be shy. Don't be, don't worry about embarrassing yourself. See what happens. You might like it.
Voss?
Stay hydrated. Go have fun. Go wild, but not too wild.
And don't touch Voss.
And don't touch me.
Don't touch.
Touch the coyote, and then when he's done, let me know. I'll drag him back.
And I guess
and listeners said, let's see. Yes, thank you. I may become brave enough to try furry dance. Thank you, Basel.
you should let us know how it goes.
Yes.
And Timid says, I remember chewing gum commercials. I don't know how that's pertaining to the topic at hand. I like when Rue makes that face. It means it's time to bully him. What? What? What is that?
That was
I
from
don't
the
think.
Patreon.
Yeah, I don't think this is their final
You're
thoughts.
way behind.
Yeah, no. But speaking of writing in, I don't know what is this thing? What is it? I don't know what
Oh
this
my
is.
God. Is that
We have
an email?
mail!
We got one. We did it, everyone. We can shut it down now. We got an email.
We don't just have
Yay.
one. We have two. Somebody
Oh my God.
sent one during our live show, so we have two.
I guess I can start reading then. Shall
And then I'll read the first one.
you
I
read the
got
first
this.
one? I'll read the second
Yep.
one. All right.
We'll see if Colorado happens after this. So
All right.
or Wichita, Kansas, or Wisconsin, Texas, whatever it is. All right, here we go. This is from Ace. He says, "Hello, guests and cast of For What It's Worth. My name is Ace. I've been listening for some time now. I started listening when I needed something to get through the workday, and what is better than a furry podcast? I have really enjoyed all the topics covered over the years, and it has helped me to get more into the fandom. I plan on going to a con for the first time next year, and my con being Denver. I do have a few questions, though. I grew up in a very Christian household and was taught it was wrong to be gay. So, when I started dating my boyfriend, I didn't know how to go about it to my parents. How should I come out to my parents? Lastly, I want to get into podcasting, but I'm not sure how to start. And advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for all what you guys do. Here is a piece of art, the green one, and my boyfriend, done by my amazing boyfriend. Still working on setting up social media page to show off his work. Thank you, friendly furry cowboy, Ace, the Dolph. I think that's how you say it. And he also sent us an ident, so we'll definitely be using your ident at the next episode. I would have to say one piece of advice that I have when coming out to your family. First of all, make sure that when you share certain things with your family, don't hide it from them. I think it's important, but I don't know enough about your family to necessarily give you direct advice. So you're gonna know overall like what's okay and what's not. But I definitely would have to say what I did to my family is I never came out to them, because my feelings at that particular time is like, why do I have to come out as straight to my family? Like, why is it that it's my responsibility that I need to come out as gay? So I never did. However, I kind of hurt them in that particular way because they felt that it was they felt like I was hiding that type of stuff from them, and to some point I was, because I grew up in a very Christian household, and I knew about the negative things that they said about gay people, and it was really difficult. It was hard, and I didn't want to disappoint them, and that's the number one thing is, you've been told all your life, I love you no matter what, and then something that's that big comes out, and then all of a sudden the love is conditional, and that's hard. That is rough. So I don't know if I can give you the most sound advice. I just think that the best way is just to rip it off like a Band-Aid and just say, this is what's going on. Here you go. And how they react is how they react, and it's their choice. But the main thing is you threw the ball into their court, and it's up to them if whether or not that they want to send that ball back, or, you can't control on how they are going to react. But it's better for you to send the ball over the net than not to send it over at all.
So I guess I would say that, yeah, it's hard, like what we were saying. It's hard to give some catch-all advice, because there are some people for whom it's probably not a good idea to come out. If, for example, you're living with them and you're reliant on having a place to live, and
then
you
don't.
don't think it's going to work well, this might not be the time and the place to come out. So without knowing your circumstances, it's kind of hard to give general catch-all advice. What I would say is like read the vibes. If you anticipate that it's not going to go well, then maybe don't do it or don't make a direct thing of it or whatever, especially if you need them for something, or especially if there's a possibility that they can instill negative consequences for you. Now if you've moved out and it's there's less of a chance that it could go really badly, then yeah, it might be worth doing. The other thing I would suggest is if you can get people on your side beforehand. So if there are some members of your family who are more likely to respond well, it might be worth, again, take it with a grain of salt, it might be worth telling them first and getting some of the family on your side first, so that if and when you decide to approach the rest of your family, or people who you think might not respond poorly, it's not just like you against the rest of the family, but maybe you've got some allies. Again, that's very contingent upon whether what your particular circumstance is. All I can say is good luck to you, and I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
I don't have advice. I can tell you how I did it. I walked in and said, "Yeah, I met somebody at this last con," and they said, "Oh, what's her name?" And I said, "Jonathan." That's about it.
Yeah. Without knowing like Nuka said, without knowing the situation, it's hard to really give any good advice through it, because with that, I would echo that as well. If you're reliant on them for anything, don't. It's going to suck, and it's real hard to kind of be your authentic self, but that's just what you're going to have to go through until you're in a situation you can take care of yourself. My other piece of advice is to build yourself a good little friend network or community away from that.
Social support.
So you have that support, so whenever you do tell them, and if it goes great, awesome, now you have a bonus. If it doesn't, then you have that fallback of those friends and that community to help you out.
Yep. As far as the other part of the question, honestly, both of your questions we could do a whole episode about, and we have done some episodes about that. But as far as furry podcast,
Don't run.
podcasting,
Run far.
yeah. Thank you, boss. If you're really interested in getting involved with that, just find a subject that you're passionate about, that you want to talk about. Determine the length of your episodes, and create show notes.
Yes, show notes. Oh my gosh.
Show notes are very helpful, especially when you're beginning. It just kind of has kind of a standardized flow of what your show's going to be about. Listen to a bunch of different podcasts, kind of take a little bit of what you like and what you don't like, and be able to kind of create your own show that way.
And in a similar vein, I would say make sure you've got something worth saying. Like, figure out what it is that you're proposing. Because I think anyone can sit down and say, "Oh, I'm going to do a podcast about I live a wacky life. I'm going to do a podcast about my wacky life." And you have to offer something. I'm surprised at how many bad podcasts there are out there. That it's ill-conceived, or a person's just like, "Oh, I think people want to hear this," and I'm like, do they though? So make sure you know. I'm not saying that you don't have something to say, but make sure distill down to its core essence. What is the thing that will make your podcast something that people will want to listen to, and then focus on that.
Yeah. And if you do your podcast, don't feel discouraged when you release a bunch of episodes and you get one listen per episode or anything like that. I mean, we still have 7? So we're doing pretty good.
So we have one more email.
So this is from Citrus the Fox. So we haven't read this yet. This is we don't read our emails beforehand, but yeah, this one just came into us, right? So to the cast of For What It's Worth. Hey, that's us. I have a suggestion for an episode topic. Great. I'm not entirely sure if it will work for a full-length episode, so I'm still working my way through the archives. So I'm not even sure if you've already covered this. If you have, I hope I'm not causing any inconvenience. I assure you, you are not. Anyway, the topic I'm suggesting is learning about the history of your local furry community. For example, at local fur meets, you could always start a conversation about what got people into the fandom and when. Several people I've met in my local community have been involved for decades, and I think that everyone, regardless of when they got involved, has an interesting story to tell regarding their or someone they know's past within the fandom, whether it happened last week or years ago. Sometimes even just Googling furries or furries from and whatever place you live in can yield interesting results. As an example, several years ago when I was first becoming aware of the fandom, but before I was involved locally, I Googled something along those lines, I don't remember the exact wording I used, and found out about a public access TV show that was in my area, which was made by a prominent member of what would turn out to be a local furry group. It was called Rapid T Rabbit and Friends. Perhaps you've heard of it. It was on the air for quite some time. Sadly, the person in question passed away about a year after I started watching it. I still regret not getting involved with my local furry community when I first started watching the show, or at very least leaving a comment saying I liked the show. But I can't change the past. There's not much to be gained dwelling on it. Maybe regrets could make a topic as well, but that would be rather depressing, so maybe not. Anyway, to make a long rambling email short, I recommend looking at local furry history. You never know what you'll find. Citrus the Fox. Yeah, that's great. I like the. I'm a huge history buff. Whenever I go to furry conventions, if there's a history of the furry panel, or history of the fandom panel, I love to take it in. And I agree. I think more than just history of the entire furry fandom as a whole, there's a lot to be had, I think, in learning the little micro history of your particular region, whether it's grand narratives about how it all started, or even just sort of learning, oh, there's a reason why there's this furry group and that furry group. There was a bit of a falling out back in the day, and that's why it's done this way. Or, hey, you say we should totally do a furry convention here, but we used to do one, and here's why we don't do one anymore, right? So even just learning little bits like that can be really helpful, especially if you're a newer fur in the region, to sort of help you sort of learn why it's done that way. So I definitely see the value in it. I will add it to the list of ideas for, we have a meeting coming up very soon where we're going to talk about ideas for the next batch of episodes, and I will add that to the list that we'll be considering. So thank you.
Speaking of which, if you are interested in sending us episode ideas, we
Now
are
is the
now
time.
accepting them. So please send them, because honestly, this episode was, we're low on our schedule, and we need to create our schedule for the second half of this season. So please send us episode ideas or topics that you would like us to cover. You could shoot us messages, but the easiest way is if you just send us an email. That way it doesn't get lost in our messages. So speaking of which, I have some housekeeping for you guys real quick.
Yes.
We have a lovely website. It's called forwhatitsworth.com. Please go over there. We also have Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Facebook at forwhatitsworth.com. We have a Telegram channel. If you want to be a part of it, please message me at WineRedFox. Once again, that's wine, like drinking wine, then the color red and fox. And just message me. I will be asking you whether or not that you are over the age of 18. And if you are, then I will go ahead and add you to the Telegram channel. The email is cast@forwhatitsworth.com. We also have individual emails based upon our first name. So there's Rue@forwhatitsworth.com, and then there's Nuka, Click, Voss, Sammy, or Charlie. We also have SpeakPipe, which we love to hear other people's voices as much as I love hearing my rambling voice. Please go ahead and share your own voice at speakpipe.com/forwhatitsworth, or you can send an audio file through cast@forwhatitsworth.com if you have some comments or suggestions or things about the topic. Also, our show itself, we just rely on word of mouth. So if you're interested, please feel free to just tell a friend. And while you're here, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Smash that like button.
Exactly. Ring that bell so that you can get notifications of when we do our live streams. As far as our next episode, we don't have it set up 100%. but we'll definitely be letting you guys know in our with the social media posts on what we'll be doing next.
For those who don't know, we choose our episodes in advance, so we'll do it. We do it sort of the way it's done on TV, where you sit down and you come up with like a batch of episodes at once. Then we do all run through the whole batch of ideas, and then we typically plan a half a season or so in advance. So we will be doing that in the next week or two. So,
all right. Well, this has been Rue.
And click.
And I guess boss. So that leaves only one weirdo.
All right, and this has been For What It's
What
Worth.
it's worth.
First.
Yay, sort of ish.
Da, da, da,
Way to
da.
go, Nuka.